At the second China International Import Expo in Shanghai, Chinese President Xi Jinping said China's door of opening up will only be wider and wider. Thank you very much. Let me cross over to Michele Geraci, who was standing by in Shanghai, where he attended the opening ceremony as well as some of the parallel discussions. All of them, I mean, we had all together 4 parallel discussions about different subject matters, and I believe Michele must have been through most of the process and got his own feeling about deliverables that this conference about import deliver. So Michele, what can you tell us about your general feeling concerning the outcome of this second import expo that was held in Shanghai?
My feeling is quite positive. It is the second time they attend. Of course, I was there last year. I think last year was mostly being the first round, more of a political, with the blessing of President Xi. Leaders came, we came, and this time around, I believe the focus is shifting more onto trying to get more practical deals. The number of companies is around 3,000. I have seen lots of activities, people walking in the stands. You know, like all fairs, it is never so easy to estimate what practical and specific deals will come out of it. But the important thing is that this event puts so many people together from so many countries, organized in countries' pavilions, industrial pavilions, so people who are interested in specific products can go and visit those of them. I tell you, I have personally, literally by hand, spent weeks and months to design, contributing to the design of the Italian pavilion, just to offer to the Chinese visitors the idea of what Italy is about, a mix of art, history, culture, machinery, technology. And this is what every country is trying to do, to basically use these few days to tell the world, hey, we don't just do what you think we do, but we also do something else. And this is exactly the goal that I have planned for the Italian week here. We don't just do food, fashion, the thing that people know about, but we also do high technology machinery, we do satellites, and we do also agricultural machinery. That is the area where we think Italy and China can cooperate very much, both in China itself, but as it was mentioned before, in Africa, where China is a heavy investor, 400 billion stock of investment over the last several years, and where Italy can contribute to bring its know-how, the food chain, food packaging, and all the skills. So I have a positive feeling. We will see what the results will be. I'm here exactly to monitor this, even if I am not in an official government capacity anymore, at least for the time being, but it is even better to be able to go down to the more specific details and help Italian company and Chinese company come together. The closer they get, the more likely that something happens, just like in nuclear fusion.
We have noticed, Michele, dynamics of the cabinet reshuffle in Italian politics. We hope you would become a key member of the next Italian government. You have our blessing, by the way, but you know, despite enormous efforts by the Chinese authorities...
I will try to satisfy your desire as soon as possible.
Well, I keep our fingers crossed for your political
future. Do the best.
But what do you think of, you know, protectionism that is looming larger about China's efforts to import more high-tech products? We face the constant threats from the U.S. government about blocking China's efforts to import more of digital technologies like Huawei. Where does Italy stand on this sensitive issue?
I tell you, having been part of a government that was so-called populist, I'm on the spectrum away from those who believe that free trade is good at all costs. There are two misunderstandings. First of all, free trade is good only under certain assumptions, one of which is full labor mobility. So if a country meets that requirement, then trade will be beneficial for the country itself. Now, in Italy, labor law, people's way of thinking, language skills, willingness to move to other countries is not so strong. And so one of the key assumptions of the benefits of free trade fails its test in Italy. Italy is a large exporter. We have 1/3 of our GDP coming from export. So indeed, we do want to trade, we do want to sell, we do want to buy. But one thing is to trade, one thing is to trade on a free term with zero barriers, zero checks. One other thing is the free trade agreement that includes other things like investment protection that goes even beyond what the economic theory tells us about the benefits of trade. So my stance is yes to trade, but not free liberal trade, because this is the free liberal trade is a Darwinian process. It increases the average, but within the average there are the losers. It's like the giraffes whose neck is not tall enough to capture the leaf high in the trees, and what happens to them? They die out. And this is how the population, on average, increases quality, by getting rid of the weak ones. Now, we cannot do this with people, and that's why we are a little bit with what I call it managed protectionism, which paradoxically, it's normally something that was handled by the left-wing party, let's say, paying more attention to the weak spectrum of the society. Now things have turned. We that are told to be on the right side of the spectrum want to do this managed protectionism just to protect those weak parts. In Italy, we have 5 million people below poverty line, a very high percentage, I dare to say almost double that of China in proportion. And this is not because I don't want to trade, it's not because I want to put tariffs, it is because my country is not ready to face the challenge of China manufacturing 2025, manufacturing Vietnam. We have a great deal of overlap, and so we need to be careful on the speed and the extent of opening up trade. It doesn't mean to put walls, it doesn't mean to go back to autarky. Those that say that don't really understand the meaning of this. And even the United States is relaxing its stance on this issue, but a little bit of tariff, a little bit of protection just to give time to our people to breathe and learn that the world is changing. They get used to new trade, to the challenges of technology, and then we can open. So speed and extent of opening up the market is crucial, and China does a very good job.
But look, to my knowledge, by the end of this year, the appellate body of the WTO is likely to come to an end with only one judge remaining on the panel. That almost seals the fate of the WTO, because after all, the appellate body is viewed as the jewel of the crown. If that ceases to exist, what would be the impact?
The impact would be bad, because there would be no committee that could settle dispute. However, I want to bring another angle. The problem is that if the system is not optimum for all parties involved, it is then that they recur to a judge. So the need to have a judge, the appellate body, I think it betrays an intrinsic fragility of the system. It's like a marriage that only when you have a problem you go to the judge or to court. Now, we want to make sure that the WTO works and indeed set the rules, but these rules should be in a way efficient, maybe Pareto efficient for all parties. So no one has an interest in free riding on the other one. And it seems to me that this is not the case yet. Why is that? Because the WTO and the rules of anti-dumping were initially designed to deal with small countries in Asia, low, cheap producer of goods, and the problem was to try that those countries would not subsidize unfairly and bring overall world market down below the prices of the, let's say, more developed countries that would purchase those. This worked until the emergence of China. With the emergence of China, that makes pretty much 50% of everything that is made around the world, the question then arises, what is the reference price in the international market? Is it the Chinese domestic market, or is it the rest of the other 199 countries around the world? And China would claim that just because of the massive scale that it has achieved, the reference price is the Chinese price. In other words, China says, I am the world market because I'm the efficient player.